Hey everybody, welcome to our Team Dare to Dream Determination Nation call for this week. And I am really excited to welcome Melanie Bolen as our guest speaker. I'm just going to launch right into her introduction because I'm excited to hear from a founding coach. I hope that you're going to tell us how that came to be for you and kind of tell us your story about how you got involved with Beachbody. But Melanie is also in our Million Club, which is very exciting. She's a Financial Freedom Award winner, which I love the fact that Beachbody encourages us to have financial freedom. That's really what we're, building our dreams for, is freedom in all areas of our life. And she's an 8-star Diamond, 2-star in her second business, as well as a Success Club 10 legend. So I think it's exciting for you to talk about the longevity of being a coach, because you have been in this business for quite some time, but yet you are still doing the activities and things that we teach newer coaches to do. A lot of that, hitting Success Club and rank advancing and sponsoring coaches. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on the call. I really appreciate it. And just to clarify too, I'm actually a Success Club 5 All-Star.
Oh, okay.
Don't want to take credit where credit is not due on that. But still, I think obviously Success Club is a very important thing. So I'm still making a weekly goal. Yes, a weekly goal. If only I could do Success Club every single week, that would be awesome. But monthly goal. But anyways, I ramble, so let me focus on, that's why I have bullet points, so I can always get back on track. So I'll start with a little bit of my background, my history. In general, I find that I am kind of a different animal than a lot of the coaches out there. And because of that, over the years, I think that I've honestly had trouble relating to a lot of some of the coaches that you hear on national wake-up calls and so forth, because particularly from the female side, a lot of the females are married, a lot of the females have kids and are moms, and there's just a lot of things that I personally, as a female, have not been able to relate to as other females. So if you are also one of those females, maybe you can relate to me and maybe I'll help you out a little bit. If not, then maybe my story can help you relate to some of the coaches on your team just a little bit more, because we all come from different walks of life. When I started as a coach, I was 26. I turned 36 next week. So it's crazy to think how long that I've been doing this. And at 26 years old, I was still kind of finding myself. I had literally just moved back to the Chicago area after having been living with my parents for a while. And I was living with a roommate in a basement apartment, working a full-time job as an administrative assistant for an architectural firm, and working a part-time job working retail for the Chicago Symphony in the evenings. So most days I'd be out my door before 8 in the morning, and I wouldn't get home until between 11:30 and midnight. And at that same time, and I honestly now I'm like, how the crap did you do this, girl? But I was up at 5 in the morning doing P90X back in those days. And if you guys have done P90X, you know it's not a 30-minute workout. It is a 60 to 90-minute daily commitment. And I'm just like, girl, I don't think I'd have the energy to do that nowadays. But 26, it was good. So when I started as a coach, I'm this single girl living in this basement with a roommate. I've always been like a cat mom. I love my kitties. But on top of that, I'm not very girly in many ways either. I've always been a bit of more of a tomboy. I've always been interested in arts, drawings. I've always been into, not always, but since middle school, I've been into comic books. So I'm very much comic books, cartoons, superheroes. And I've always found that I relate a little more to guys than girls, which is honestly why the majority of the successful coaches on my team are guys. You guys probably know Jimmy Nelson, Tommy Migrant. They're part of my team, dudes. So whenever I see girls that are like, how do you talk to dudes? I'm like, I don't know. How do you talk to girls, y'all? So different spectrums. So when I started out, I was a little flighty, a little spacey. I didn't quite know what the heck was going on. I'd never been a numbers girl. Like, I had a high GPA in school and I got by fine with all that. But I always hated math. I hated memorizing all that stuff. And here I am getting into this business where, boom, I have to understand this comp plan and I have to start understanding money and what to do with money and all that kind of stuff. So it was really interesting at the beginning where I was going into this because I had no business experience. I was all about doing, the pop culture things, going to conventions, dressing up like superheroes, costumes, all that kind of stuff. So that is where I was when I started as a coach. I got into fitness because I had a degree in musical theater. And when you're in acting, you have pretty much two choices of where to go. It's changed a little bit nowadays because there's more people out there that are bringing all body types into media. But back then, it was pretty much you either need to be the skinny girl or you need to be the big girl. Which do you want to be? And I was kind of in the middle. So I'm like, okay, well, I can go one or the other way. This way seems a little healthier. So I think I'll try to lose weight. And that's how I got into fitness, was with that. And of course, I started with the Beachbody programs. I was doing Beachbody programs for a number of years before coaching ever existed, actually. I started with Power 90, moved on to P90X, Turbo Jam, and the message boards existed back then because as you guys remember in the early 2000s, we didn't really have Facebook so much. MySpace was there, but we were all about the message boards on various things. If you found something you were interested to, you found a website for it, you joined that website's message boards. So through that, I met a lot of people, some including Mark Briggs, Tracy Morrow, Robert Hutchins, a lot of people through those Beachbody message boards. And we just kind of got to know each other early on. Back then, a bunch of us worked with Tony Horton to organize Tony Horton fitness camps. We went, it was kind of like really early. We were doing coach stuff before coaching really was even a thing. And then coaching came into existence. And the funny thing is I actually got invited to be a coach via a message on MySpace, a private message. But my private message came from Carl Deichler. We were Facebook friends. So you guys have to understand, the company was tiny back then, like so tiny. A lot of us that have been around all this time are amazed at how huge this company has gotten. So, same as everyone else, I was invited by a private message, invited to an opportunity presentation. In my case, I got to go to California and attend one live, which was absolutely amazing because being someone who had lived most of her entire life, being careless with money, being in debt, and then all of a sudden being flown out to California and put up in the Beverly Wilshire, it was an uncanny experience. So obviously I said yes because I was like, well, they went through all this trouble. I'm going to give this a go because I love the products, but I don't really know what I'm doing. But hey, I get a discount. So
Melanie, I think it's interesting that Carl Deichler was inviting. Just us two. He was the one doing all the inviting back then.
Yeah, and I mean that's how it got started pretty much, is he sent personal messages to people. He chose a number of us who were active in the community at the time. And then there also were some people who were, I guess, supposed to be network marketing gurus who were invited, some of which are still with the company. Those who are still with the company are the ones who adopted the Beachbody lifestyle and are actively living a healthy life. The people who never really adopted the lifestyle, we haven't heard from them ever again. So just so you know, like right from the bat, we all knew what the company represented and what we wanted it to represent. And so some of the people that weren't willing to do that were gone right on early on. So, but yeah, so that's the story of how that all got started, right? When we began, Beachbody was a baby network marketing company. We were baby network marketers. We had no clue what it was. All I knew was that I had once been invited to a body shop at home presentation, and I thought the little circle diagrams of how the business looked similar to what I had been shown. That's where my mind went. I was like, oh, it's one of those things. Okay. But the difference between this and that was that I'm not super into body products, but I was super into fitness at this time. And I do think that if you're going to be in a home business, you do have to be passionate about what you're selling. So hopefully with Beachbody, you are passionate. And even if you haven't hit your final goal, you are actively doing the things necessary in order to live a healthy life. And that's the main thing with Beachbody, is having that passion there. So when we began, we didn't really have any systems in place. If you go and visit the previous office view in your online office, you'll see that that's pretty much all we had to work with back in the day. Very basic. So most of our training came from outside of Beachbody. We were scouring for any network marketing professional. I know I started out listening to all sorts of Jim Rohn CDs and presentations. I can't remember the other guy's name. John Maxwell? No, it wasn't John Maxwell. Anyways, I can't remember his name anymore right now. He's an older guy and he's got a really heavy Southern accent. It's bugging me that I can't remember. This is what happens when I don't write stuff down. Anyways, so we basically...
Was it Zig Ziglar?
Yes, Zig Ziglar. So, and I still love these guys. There's so many new people out there in the marketing world, but I still like to go back to these guys when I want to get my mind back to where it needs to be. So yeah, we started with pretty much all of our training come from what you'd now categorize as personal development training, essentially, because Beachbody didn't have any. We were learning from each other. We were learning from the network marketing people who started with us, who frankly, we have gone away from a lot of the ways they were teaching us back then, because some of the stuff that they had us do was not really in line with what Beachbody represented, but it was a learning and a growing process. So just so you know, if you are a new coach and you're trying new things and they're not working out or things aren't feeling right, we all went through that at the very beginning, no matter what. And I was just kind of hanging in there as a discount coach at first. I didn't really see how money could be built necessarily, but then some of the coaches who started at the same time as me were starting to get these crazy checks and they were advancing in rank. And I was like, okay, what is it they're doing? And I started joining in on their training groups and just learning from them and pretty much just, duplicating exactly what they were doing. And in some cases, since I was not comfortable with talking to people about some things yet, I was copying and pasting scripts in the beginning and getting finding my own words, finding my own way, right? And it was honestly one of my coaches that gave me a kick in the pants. Early on, I signed up a coach named Jay Floyd, and he actually surpassed me in rank real fast. Back early on, Top Coach was a monthly contest, and there was a monthly Top Coach winner, and he won Top Coach in his first year as a coach, and surpassed me in rank, and that kind of lit a fire under me. I was like, okay, if this guy can do it, I can do it too. So I then made it my goal to surpass him in rank, and I will tell you that I never hit Top Coach, and it's obviously much harder to hit Top Coach nowadays than it used to be back in the day, but I got close. And the business and the work ethic that I adopted just because of the fact that Jay pushed me to, helped me excel in this business. And that's really what laid the foundation for me being able to hit Million Club and build my business to where it is today. So throughout the years, I've had a lot of trials and tribulations. And I actually wrote down some of the things that have helped me stay in this business in the long run, because obviously, like I told you, when I first signed the thing that said, yes, I want to be a coach, I was 26. Next week, I turned 36. So I've been doing this for a long time. So these are the things that have really helped me stay in this business in the long run. And then one of the first things is that you really need to figure it out. And by it, I mean whatever it is that you want to do next with your business, whether it's wanting to learn how to use Instagram, wanting to learn how to use Snapchat, which is really my next it that I'm trying to figure it out is Snapchat. Because when it comes down to it, we can listen to as much stuff as possible, but until we start to put it into action and really figure out how it's going to work for us specifically, then things aren't going to move forward, because how one thing works for someone might work differently for you. Just in that, like I said, when I signed up, single girl, no kids, whatever. So what tactics would be working for someone who was a mom at that time might not work for me. So you really do have to figure it out and figure out how it's going to work for you. So if you don't have a game plan yet, make sure that you figure out what you want to learn next and put down a list of the things that you are actively working to figure out. Because the fact of the matter is, your sponsoring coach can hold your hand in the beginning as much as you need, but you can't hold their hand forever, because otherwise you're never going to get your business to where it needs to be. You have to actively be willing to let go of your sponsor's hand and figure it out for yourself and make this thing grow. And always know that, of course, your sponsor is there to cheer you on and help you along the way. But until you take off the training wheels, it's not going to really blast out of here. So that's the one thing that really helped me, was taking off my training wheels and just starting to figure it out. And just, I think the quote in one of the personal developments I did was not ready, aim, fire, but ready, fire, aim. So it's like, say what you want to do it, mess up a little bit, see what you messed up on, fix it, try again. So you're constantly adjusting that aim to hit where you want to go by your failures. It's absolutely okay to fail. You just have to let it not get you down when that happens. The second thing that's really helped me stay in this business in the long run has been personal development. Because like I said, in the beginning, the majority of our training was personal development because Beachbody did not have its own trainings back then. So the names mentioned already, Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn were some of my early on people. I read a lot of books on finance. I read Smart Women Finish Rich, which really helped me kind of understand, okay, so you're making money, now what the heck do you do with it? And it helped me start to be smarter in my money, so that I wasn't that girl in her 20s who had gotten herself into massive debt being foolish with money, which is what I had done. So the first part of my Beachbody income was really just trying to get me out of debt because I was foolish. So the biggest personal development thing for me too has been mindset, because of the fact that I've always been a bit more of a nerd. As Chris Hardwick says in his personal development book, nerds are like hyper self-aware and super critical of ourselves. We judge ourselves and think the worst of ourselves like crazy. So it is important for me, at least, to really work on my mindset on a regular basis. And a friend years ago gave me a book called A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson. And I set it on my bookshelf for years, didn't look at it. And then finally one day, like, something told me that it was time to read it. And that book really started helping me reframe my mindset and realize that the world doesn't revolve around me and all of these things aren't happening at me or to me. This is just my reactions to these things that are happening, and how can I change my reactions to what are happening so that this can better serve my purpose in life and what I want to do with my life. And that book is very religiously toned, but whether you're religious or not, she says in the beginning that, when I say God, you can interpret that as whatever being you want it to be, pretty much. So even if you're not a religious person, it can still be a very valuable tool. And on the flip side, I mentioned Chris Hardwick. One of my favorite books is The Nerdist Way by Chris Hardwick, which is kind of like the exact opposite of Return to Love, because he's an atheist. But likewise, as long as you're not going to be offended by learning from someone with opposing viewpoints, there's a lot of great things in that book, particularly for mindset, especially if you are a hyper self-aware nerd like myself. I recommend that one, particularly on audio, because he's a comedian, so you will be learning, feeling enlightened, and laughing your ass off at the same time. So I like that one. So figure it out, personal development. The next thing that is essential as a coach is that you have to learn how to become exceedingly malleable in this business. You have to be able to adapt to change, because the way the business is now is nowhere near what it was when I started. Obviously, a lot can change in 10 years. And those changes caused some people over the years to quit because they were just like, change, I can't have this. No, table flip, I'm done. So you really have to be willing to go through change. So, for example, I know a lot of people at first, when they're like, Shanti's not coming to Summit, and they're freaking out about it. Like, does this mean Shanti's quitting Beachbody? Oh my gosh. And like, so much energy was going to trying to figure out this thing that in the long run, for the success of our business, doesn't matter. Because the fact of the matter is, even if a trainer, and FYI, he's coming to Summit now, no, he's not leaving, don't want to freak you guys out. But that's what people were thinking. And a lot of times, change causes us to jump to conclusions about what things are going to be in the future. And instead of adapting to that change, we then become resistant to it. We become angry at it. And we just want to give up because we just don't want to deal with it. But just to give you an idea of some of the things that have changed over the years that we've had to deal with. So the comp plan is actually different now than it used to be. That changed on us once. In the early stages of the business when they were still trying to figure out the best ways for it to work. And I remember in the beginning, it freaked some people out when it changed because those cycle bonus caps at ranks, emerald, diamond, so forth, that used to not exist. So of course, when the comp plan changed, the emeralds that were sitting there, not working their business, but had big teams under them making $1,000 a week for not doing anything, they freaked out because all of a sudden they're like, oh, so if I still want to earn this amount, you mean I have to actually work and grow my business? Well, shucks. So that change freaks some people out. But those of us who wanted to make sure that we were in this for the long run and grow our business, we adapted that change. We said, okay, if this is how much money we want to make, this is what we have to do to get there, so be it. This is the new guidelines. This is what we need to follow. The way that Top Coach, like I said, was awarded was changed. Back in the beginning, elite points did not exist. And speaking of elite points, even the way that they are awarded over the years has been changed. And this is just because of the growth of the company. Things have to change in order for things to still hold the same, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say value because that's not the right word, but I guess exclusiveness is the word I'm looking for. In order for something to remain exclusive in a growing company, it's going to have to get a little bit harder to earn it. Shakeology did not exist in the beginning, so when that was first brought in, we had to figure out, okay, we got a meal replacement shake, how to market that. We've had trainers come, we've had trainers go. I don't know if you guys remember the short stint of the Body Gospel. That didn't last too long. Brett Hobel, he wasn't with us for very long, but it's always going to be one of these things where it's like, this is what we have to hype now. Oh, that didn't work out. Okay, what next? Success Club came into being. That didn't always exist. And I will tell you, I was resistant to Success Club in the very beginning. I didn't get it. And because I didn't get it, I didn't earn it. But once I started getting it and I was like, you know what, this makes sense, then I started earning it. And my mindset really helped me in that. So again, I was given something that's like, if you want to get X, you have to achieve Y. And I was like, okay, I got to figure out how to achieve Y so I can get X, even though it might be a little different tactic than what I was doing before. The way trips are earned has changed. The way leads are awarded has changed. The one thing that's really thwarted me lately is that social media keeps changing. I feel like when I was in my 20s, I could keep up with it like nothing. But now that I am in my mid-30s, I feel like I'm that girl with the walker falling behind, not able to keep up with the social media changes. So that's going to change. You might think you own Facebook and then an algorithm changes on you. And then your own personal life is going to change. Maybe you're going to get married. Maybe you're going to have kids. Maybe there's going to be a divorce. Hopefully not, unless it's for the best. But things are going to change in your life. And we have to adapt that to our business as well and keep figuring out where in our lives the business falls priority-wise. And one thing that's really changed for me lately is the market that I would be attracting changing, because the market you're attracting at one time might be different than the market you're attracting at the next time. Sorry, my straw is dancing in the picture here. The one thing that seriously changed for me is my own body changed. When I started out as a coach, I was young, I was vibrant, I did a program, the results came. But then all of a sudden, Melanie decides to develop an autoimmune disease. And next thing I know, my body is fighting me. I'm gaining weight instead of losing it, even though I'm still actively being healthy and working out. And it's messing with my mind, telling me that I'm obviously not a good fitness coach if I can't even keep my own weight off. So your body might change and you might have to reevaluate how you approach your own health and fitness, and then who you're going to inspire and how you're going to inspire them despite things changing. And that's going to happen too if you go through a pregnancy, you know? There's lots of things that are going to change. So you have to be malleable in this business in order to stay with it in the long run and be willing to adapt to that change. Another tip that I have is that you really do have to be true to yourself and to your vision. One thing that I see a lot of coaches do when they first start out is that they sign up to be a coach and then they immediately lose their self-identity. That means they sign up to be a coach and then all of a sudden their Facebook changes to Beachbody logos and I am Beachbody, 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 Beachbody. My name's not Melanie anymore, it's Beachbody. I work for Beachbody. And you really have to remain true to yourself, because the reason people are going to be interested in getting things from us is because of who we are and our relationship with that person. There's a gajillion places people can buy Beachbody stuff, let's be honest. So why are they going to buy from us? They're not going to buy from us because we all of a sudden made our Facebook page all covered in Beachbody logos. They're going to buy from us because they know our story. They know about us. They know how the workouts are going for us. They know about our struggles. They know and can relate to us. So be true to yourself and be true to your vision. Remember your why in this business. And if you find yourself doing an activity that goes against what your why is, don't do it. Revisit your why. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. And it might not be a popular thing with a lot of people, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret. For me, at this point in my business, elite coach is not actually a goal of mine. And some people might be like, what? But I'm going to tell you, like, elite is an awesome thing to go for, especially early on in your business, because essentially what elite coaches are doing to hit elite is what I did early on in my business to build the foundation that helped me get to Million Club. Elite did not exist as a title back then, but I was still doing those actions that elite coaches are doing. So be true to yourself. At this point in my business, with what I am doing, you know, it serves me to do a certain number of things. And that doesn't mean I couldn't still make elite, but my main focus activity-wise is not necessarily based on that for myself. So you need to figure out what your goals are specifically and then what activities you need to do on a daily basis to make those goals matter and make those goals be hit. So it's going to be a little bit different for everyone, and make sure you're honest with your sponsoring coach about what those goals are so that they're pushing you towards what you want and not towards what they're assuming you want, right? So if you want to run, run. If you want to walk, walk, whatever. Just make sure that the consistency is there. You stay true to your vision, stay true to your goals, and stay true to yourself. Because if you lose yourself in this business, it becomes not fun. And if it's not fun, you're not going to want to do it anymore. This should be an absolutely fun and amazing and rewarding business. So make sure you always come back to that and find that for yourself. And I say this as someone who has gotten frustrated and wanted to flip tables numerous times because I've lost myself in this business trying to achieve what I think people think I should be achieving and what people are telling me I should be achieving versus the things that I want to achieve myself, if that makes sense. So what do I want to achieve now? Well, obviously, I've done fairly well in this business. I've built a great team. I've got amazing leaders. I've hit Million Club. My weekly income is pretty good. But let me tell you, it doesn't matter if you get to that point. You can't sit and spin in this business. It's not one of those businesses you can just grow and then be like, well, I'm just going to watch while everyone else does it now. It just doesn't work. So I'm still reevaluating my stuff. And let me tell you, at this point in my business, I'm actually going back to the basics. I'm going back to the activities I did as a brand new coach once again, because I've hit that point of trying to reinvent and refigure myself out as a coach, because most of my team leaders have gone off, done their own things, started their own teams, and I'm working with brand new coaches. Again, I'm not working as much with my team leaders. They don't really need me anymore. So, you know, figure it out, make it work. And then, of course, my last tip is the easy one. You hear this all the time, but stay plugged in. I have not missed a single Coach Summit since Coach Summit was founded. I've only missed one Super Saturday, and it's because I was standing up in a wedding that day, and I think that's a pretty valid excuse. Team calls, obviously, you can't always attend them live because we have lives outside of coaching, but hopefully if you're not here live with me right now, which if you are, thank you. If you're watching the recording, still good on you, because you know what? You're here, you're attending, you're watching the recording. But this connection to coaches, being around other coaches, has been my mental reset. It's really helped me stay in this business because Beachbody's smart with their quarterly Super Saturdays. They are really smart about that because usually every quarter by about a week or two before Super Saturday is when I've been feeling down in the dumps. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. How much longer can I keep this up for? And then I'm like, okay, I don't really want to go to Super Saturday because I'm in the dumps, you know, but I make myself go. And when I go, I leave invigorated. I'm like, man, I'm so glad I made myself go because this made me remember why I love this company and why I'm doing this. So if you don't feel like doing something because you're down in the dumps, that's probably when you need to do it the most. Because a lot of people in our lives don't get this. They don't understand why we're so into health and fitness. They don't understand why we're so excited about this. And they're going to try to talk you down. They're going to try to bring you back to the person that's going to come out and binge drink and have pizza with them and not go for your goals. And it's going to happen. And the sad part is it's going to be a lot of the people that are closest to us who are going to be the ones who don't understand this. So it is so important to get plugged into other people with the visions that you have, with the goals that you have, who are going to lift you up and cheer you on in your goals and not try to tear you back down. So that's why staying plugged in is essential. So if there is at all a live event anywhere near you, do your best to get to that live event and try to get on at least one coaching thing every week, whether it's the National Wake Up Call, whether it's your team call, whether it's a one-on-one with your coach. Try to get on at least one coach thing at least once a week, or at least watch a recording or listen to a recording at least once a week so that you can connect with other coaches, hear about their struggles, and relate to what's going on and realize, okay, I'm not alone in this. Other people are experiencing this. Because it's really easy to look at coaches online and just assume that everybody says yes. It's like, Oprah throwing things out. Everyone's coming back to you. Everyone's excited about your stuff. But let me tell you that I'm sure that Lindsay Matway hears no a ton. I'm sure that Janelle Summers hears no a ton. I'm sure all these people still hear no and have struggles. But the difference is just how they put the face out there in the world. We don't know about it. But on these coach one-on-ones, people are more likely to open up on about that. And then you realize, oh, this person I was putting up on a pedestal this whole time thinking that they were like untouchable is actually human. And they have these same struggles that I have on a regular basis. So stay plugged in. And one of the biggest things, obviously, for me is just never give up. If you really love this, if you really want to do this, commit to being here for, I would say, plan it a year in advance, Say, okay, where do I want to be a year from now? When that year comes, did you hit your goals? Awesome. Did you not hit your goals? That's fine. Reset for a year from now. Where do you want to be? And just keep resetting year by year by year and reevaluate your business at least once a year because, of the life cycle. We got to always check back in. But as long as you don't give up and as long as you are consistent, you are willing to fill it out, to adapt, figure it out, and adapt, do your personal development, you can make great strides in this business. So that's my spiel. If there's any questions or anything, I'm happy to shut up and listen.
No, that was really great. I love when you were talking about, I bet Lindsay and Janelle here know. I bet Carl got some no's when he invited people to look at the business opportunity way back when.
Oh yeah, I know for a fact there's coaches who actually turned him down and later on were like, no.
Yeah. So everybody gets no's. And if you guys didn't hear the beginning of this call, make sure you listen to it because it was so interesting hearing from your own mouth how, Beachbody came to, Team Beachbody came into being and, you being a part of that. It's just very, very interesting.
It was actually called $1 Million Body.
Oh, I remember that. And it's so funny. Now it's called Beachbody and that has such a connotation to it, just the word.
$1 Million Body I didn't like so much.
Yeah, that Beachbody is definitely better than that. Melanie, I have a question. And if anybody does have a question, type it in the comments here or just unmute yourself. But, you talk about how you're working with your new coaches today. And I'm just, you've seen a lot of new coaches in your day. So what do you think are the, what do you see overall are the kind of, how can you tell when a new coach is going to make it versus one that's not? Do you have some specific things that you see them doing versus others that aren't?
The biggest thing, honestly, is that they're showing up. I can tell you both personally, to be honest, in the last couple of years, the majority of my personally sponsored coaches have not shown up. And you can only try to drag someone for a little while before it wears on you. So that's the one thing I had to learn is stop trying to drag people. Give them the opportunity to show up. If they show up, they're probably going to go somewhere. So for example, when I've had Coach Basics groups, now I have a self-paced thing, but I still have to make people tag their sponsoring coach. So they're still showing up.
We do that too.
Yeah. I learned it from all you guys in the group. Yeah. I was like,
yeah. Every idea we have is like somebody else's. So it's like,
but I used to do these monthly groups, and we would do weekly calls on these groups. And I will tell you, from almost 100% accuracy, that those who showed up to the weekly calls are the ones who have advanced to diamond, star diamond, and so forth. The ones whose faces I saw on a regular basis have made leaps and bounds. The ones who failed to show up are the ones who didn't. And I think what that shows is obviously the people who are showing up on the call were the people who are doing the work, and they weren't afraid to hide. They also weren't afraid to get on the call and say that they failed that week. They just were showing up and owning their business, whether it was a success or a failure that week, and not afraid of it. And that's the biggest thing is right there. It's just, I was like, okay, I've seen this person's face. So when they started going places, I was like, yeah, they were there every week. Okay. But I mean, if someone signs up, they don't even get through Coach Basics, but they say they're doing their business. And by doing their business, I mean, they're spamming their Facebook page with all sorts of links and stuff. And they're like, why isn't anyone buying from me? This doesn't work. But yet they failed to go through the training that's going to teach them the do's and the don'ts and the proper conversational skills. That's a big difference. It's really easy to assume you know how to do everything in this business because other things in life have worked out well. But I mean, really, you kind of have to, what's the word I'm looking for? You have to kind of, I guess, get off your high horse and be willing to go back to the basics and be willing to be a student again, no matter where you are in life and no matter where you are in this business. Because that's the one thing is we have to be humble in that respect. We can't always assume that we know how it's going and that we're always going to know how this is going to work, because you're pretty much always a student in this business. In the same way that with my personal training certification, I'm required to do X number of continuing education credit courses over 2 years. As a coach, you have to do that because the market's going to change. So as long as you're showing up, you're doing it, you're being accountable, you're being humble, and you're just owning your successes and your failures, I think that can make a big difference. I rambled a lot to a simple question.
No, I think that's really, really important because, I see that too, coaches that they say they're working their business and, you give them training and we have team training and we have groups and all that, but they're not in the groups, or they join the group and then they never participate. And, maybe they're doing it behind the scenes, maybe not, but I find that when people are doing things behind the scenes, they're not doing them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So anyway, does anybody have any questions? Any other things? This is a great opportunity. I'm telling you. Gabriel, I know you have got to have a question or a comment. She's like, she's at work. Oh, that's right. She's a ninja coach right now.
Like, I can't talk because they'll hear me. I actually got in trouble at one of my old jobs because they caught me working on coaching. But I was sitting there like, it's your own fault that you don't give me enough work to keep me busy for the entire day that I have the time to do this.
Absolutely.
I didn't say that to them, of course, but that's what I said in my mind.
Yeah. So Kara's on here. She's going to be a new diamond this week.
Woohoo! Congrats.
Do you have any questions about what it's like, what you should be focused on?
Actually, I do. It was just, now that I'm getting, trying to figure out the whole coaching, where to place everybody, like how important did you think that was, Melanie, to place them correctly on the left and the right leg and start watching for the bonuses and stuff like that? Like, I feel like that's an area I really need to start focusing on a little bit more, because I've had a lot of discount coaches, and now I've got a couple that are starting to build. And so I want to make sure I'm doing it properly and not going to mess things up down the road.
Well, I'm going to tell you 100% that things are probably going to get messed up, and you're just going to have to accept that. Let me tell you, I did some things right and I did some things very, very wrong. But a lot of that was due to the fact that in the beginning, they didn't really teach us how to properly build. So in the beginning, my coaches are placed all over the place. They're not just outside leg down.
Did you place Jimmy Nelson in a dead leg, Melanie?
He isn't a dead leg. Actually, he isn't a dead leg.
And he's doing pretty darn good.
Yeah, because he signed up within the first 4 months I was a coach. I didn't know what the crap I was doing.
Yeah.
So those who are higher up in my business and have excellent spots just kind of got lucky because I didn't know what I was doing. So that's my failure, is that while I did place people excellently for my own team volume's sake, I have deep regret that I did not learn how to properly place them for their own team volume's sake, because I didn't understand how that worked early on. And me being of the kind of empathetic Pearl personality, I of course want everything to be in the other person's best interest even more so than mine. So it kills me that I have people in dead spots. So I think it's really important. I mean, obviously I made it to Million Club heavily based on where I placed people for volume, because a lot of that comes from the bonus cycles. So obviously getting up to 8-star helped me. For that, 8-star is as high as I've gotten to, because it's kind of like 8-star, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8, 6. And then I'm 2-star in my second CBC as well. But, you know, I always tell people, a lot of people will ask me the question, I have this person signing up, where should I place them? And I'm just like, I don't know. My question to you is, what is your next goal? Is your next goal volume oriented? Is your next goal rank oriented? Because sometimes those two will dance in harmony and sometimes they will not. So if the most important goal is for you to hit diamond, place that new coach on the side where it's going to make sense to help you have an active coach to make diamond. But if your goal is, I want to max out my cycle bonuses at my current rank, then place them on the side that needs more volume so that you can get those cycle bonuses. And the thing that kind of helped me with my income and with getting to Million Club and all that stuff was really kind of getting over my hatred for math and digging into the comp plan and really figuring out how cycle bonuses work, where I need to be to cycle at what dollar amount, at what rank, and where do these coaches need to be placed. So like I said, while I really messed up in the outside leg thing, once I figured out how the bonus stuff worked, I placed people on each side based on that. But even then, it's always hindsight based, because you can have someone sign up and they can be like, I'm going to be a rock star diamond in 2 weeks. And you never hear from them again. On the flip side, someone might sign up and be like, I want to be a discount coach. And then 6 months later, they're star diamond. So it's hard to predict. And that's why we kind of just have to accept that mistakes are going to happen. We have to own our mistakes, but we also have to teach our coaches to own where they are at, because Jimmy got successful on his own. He obviously didn't have me doing too much to help him get there, but he didn't count on me being the one to help him. Whereas there was other coaches that would be like, why don't you place someone under me here to help me out? And you know what? A lot of those coaches that begged for that are the ones who never tried to work the business on their own. So, and you also have to learn to get rid of that guilt that you might hold for accidentally placing someone in not the right spot, because you're going to learn, and they're going to learn as they sign up people, that you can't really always plan how it's going to work out. I know a previous mentor that used to work for the company was Craig Holliday, and he was a great mentor for me because he was really good at getting into my head and working with all of my issues, I guess you could say. I carry a lot of guilt and a lot of anxiety, and you know, we would have chats and I would tell him about how I had so much guilt that I had all these coaches who weren't having success in this business, and I felt like it was my fault. And he's like, you know, that's understandable, but let me ask you something. The coaches who are successful in your business, are you claiming complete responsibility for their success? And I'm like, no, they did that on their own. And then he's like, then the coaches who aren't having success are doing that on their own. It's not your fault. And that like hit me home and really changed my mindset in this business and kind of took a big weight off my back. And I was like, I'm free. So
yeah, that's brilliant. I love that. So we got one question here. How do you handle a toxic negative coach? I don't have one currently, but I have one that wants to sign up. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, If I didn't want someone on my team, I'd probably dance around the topic as much as possible. I mean, I'm probably not ballsy enough to say, no, I don't want you to sign up.
Yeah.
I would probably talk heavily with them about what their goals are and what they'd be willing to do ahead of time. And if they're super negative about it, I might say, you know what, maybe this isn't for you. But, sometimes people sign up, they're going to be negative, and you just have to learn when to cut them off. They're probably going to eventually quit anyways. But at the same time, you don't want them to drag Beachbody's name into the mud if they're being kind of a pooper. But there was a coach, not my personally sponsored coach, but a coach in my downline who I became Facebook friends with. And all she was doing was complaining and bitching and moaning on Facebook. And I'm just like, no wonder people don't want your help. You can't even help yourself. So I would say for the person who wants to sign up, almost take them through the interview process before they sign up, just to see if they're willing to actually do the work necessary. And if they do sign up, you know what? I guess throw them a bone, because maybe their mindset will change. You never know. But, ask them, are you willing to change how you might be handling X, Y, and Z? Because in order for this to be a success, you're probably going to have to.
That's good. Yeah.
Or if they do sign up, pick out a personal development book that will help them get over that mindset and send it to them and be like, read this.
Yeah. Good. Well, Melanie, I know you are super busy, and thank you so much for flexing with me today. I gave Melanie a wrong time. So she was way on and nobody else was. So thank you again. This has been a real pleasure. I'm so glad that I got to know more about you. So we'll see you at Summit.
Yeah. Thank you guys. I really appreciate taking some of your time today. Have a great week.
Bye.
Thanks.